Edinburgh is a magical city full of unique medieval architecture, an incredible castle perched on volcanic rock, and some absolutely stunning views. But we only have 24 hours to explore as much of this city as we can. So join us as we explore Edinburgh. We are quickly realising that Edinburgh has a lot of stairs. So it turns out we were just walking up what is now a tourist attraction, Advocates Close. It's a very narrow, steep alleyway. One of, I think, quite a few by the sound of things here in Edinburgh. But that was kind of cool. First thing we stumbled across, and it wasn't even intentional.
Second tourist attraction.
St Giles Cathedral. That was actually on my list, but I didn't know it was here. But that's the thing, I think when you're staying in the Old Town, or near the Old Town in Edinburgh, you're near everything. It is very expensive, but we'll show you a bit more of our hotel in a little bit and why it's so good to stay in the centre of Edinburgh. We stumbled across Advocates Close on our way to our first intentional attraction. This one is a very famous one, very popular one, and it might resemble a very, very famous movie franchise.
Welcome, Harry, to Diagon Alley.
If you haven't guessed it already, this street was the inspiration of none other than Diagon Alley.
I think so. I don't know if it's rumoured or confirmed. One of the two.
To confirm, I said Diagon Alley, not Diagon Alley.
Diagon Alley.
Being a street that inspired Diagon Alley in Harry Potter, it is no surprise that there is no shortage of Harry Potter themed or inspired shops as well. It's a good thing that our suitcases are already full, because if they weren't, I think Stace would be buying a fair bit.
We stumbled in our first one. Bit of a pop culture shop, but heaps of Harry Potter merchandise. We've got magical potions. This one's butterscotch beer. Spin 3 times for low calorie matches. Guys, that Storm Museum context was super cool, very small inside, hence why there's a bit of a queue, so you do have to wait. But really cool stuff, heaps of Harry Potter merchandise, some other knicks and knacks, some Harry Potter merchandise we've not actually seen before, which I did pick up. Really, really cool. Cool photo spots on the inside as well. Definitely recommend checking it out if you're here on Victoria Street.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Something else that's really cool about Victoria Street is that up there, it seems like there's a street that looks down onto Victoria Street. As we mentioned earlier, there are a lot of hills in Edinburgh. A little bit like Lisbon in that respect, and we went to Lisbon last year for our first time. If you want to check out that video, we'll put it in the description below. But that is just so cool that you're kind of not just looking directly ahead of you, you're looking up, you're looking down, you're looking sideways at all the Harry Potter merchandise.
It's like an onion.
It has layers.
And an ogre. Because they both have layers.
And levels, I guess. What the heck? Shrek reference. Now, when planning this little trip to Edinburgh, neither one of us were saying the word Edinburgh correctly, as far as I know. It's not Edinburgh, it is not Edinburgh, I think it's Edinburgh. And the way that I remember that is because I add the br at the end. Edinburgh. Edinburgh.
This next stop might seem a bit strange given it's about 10 degrees outside right now, but we've both heard of this very famous ice cream shop here in Edinburgh called Mary's Milk Bar. It came up on my Instagram. I said to Rosh, we have to go check this out, and she said it's already on my list. Kind of an artisan ice cream shop. I think they mix up their flavours every day if I'm not mistaken, so you might have to check their Instagram out, see what flavours are there for the day. But I've got the lemon curd and cream and salted caramel, which look pretty good. I think Rosh has got hazelnut and the salted caramel, but they had milk flavour, they had like apricot cardamom, peanut and coconut, heaps of random flavours, but it looks pretty good. I just tried it, it's really good. Also, look at my view right now. I'm presuming that's Edinburgh Castle?
Obviously.
Looks pretty cool.
Mary's Milk Bar must be really, really popular because they have their own merch. It's a really cool place, and I have to say, I would come here rain, hail or shine. This hazelnut, so good.
They also have a queuing area outside, which is a pretty good indication it's pretty popular.
We have now walked to Vennel View Point, which is literally 2 minutes away from Mary's Milk Bar, if that. It's just up some stairs, and it gives you some pretty incredible views of the castle, just that little bit higher up than the street down below. It's not very crowded at the moment. It is literally just like a big set of stairs, so you can kind of sit down on whatever level you like and watch the clouds go behind the castle. The good thing about the castle being in the pretty much centre of the old town is that you can almost get a view of the castle whenever and wherever you are. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that, with this massive castle on this huge rock in the middle of an area in the city. Like, what?
Kilkenny Castle?
Oh yeah, the city of Kilkenny.
Like 2 weeks ago.
That's not the same. It's just a casual castle on the hill. Wow.
Isn't that Ned Sheeran's song?
Yeah.
We're also now just going on a little side mission out of the old town to Primark because we need to buy some undies.
Stop it. Get some help.
Travel issues indeed. We've been with family for the last few weeks. So it's been maybe a week or so since we last did some laundry. We planned on doing it today when we got to Edinburgh. According to the front desk at our hotel, there are no laundromats within walking distance. You have to get a bus, and it was late in the day when we arrived, so Primark it is.
Also, something I found really random when researching Edinburgh. You might find it random too if you didn't know like me. They have something, I think it might just be called the Monument, and within that or near that is a incomplete replica of the Parthenon, which is pretty random. We have seen a complete replica of the Parthenon, and that was in Nashville of all places. If you want to see that, we'll link that video in the description below too. But how random is that? Incomplete Parthenon replica. Why? Why not? So this incomplete Parthenon is at the top of Carlon Hill here in Edinburgh. It's actually right next to the Nelson Monument. I believe they started constructing this Parthenon in the 1800s, and then they had to stop and leave it incomplete because they ran out of funds. But I think the fact that it is incomplete is a nice little Edinburgh spin on it. It's unique, and I think it's worth coming up and checking it out because once you're up the top, you've got incredible views out onto Edinburgh below.
The view up here is pretty crazy. You can see like the whole old town, we can see the castle, I can kind of see that Gothic building, I can see everything, which is really cool, but it is so windy up here. I feel like I'm about to get blown off the cliff.
Just kidding, it's not that bad.
It was very quick to get up, just a couple flights of stairs, so definitely recommend popping on over and checking out this viewpoint.
How to get up onto a replica Parthenon by Stacey.
Step 1. Get your really amazing girlfriend to use her leg as a stepladder.
I can feel you.
This is really flattering angle. Step 2.
Party, cause you're at the top, baby.
Can I get down now?
How?
Help.
Step 3. Get your really funny, amazing, beautiful, intelligent girlfriend to help you down.
That was really scary.
Guys, Stacey's intuition might have been onto something when she mentioned Shrek earlier, because we've popped into Primark, as we said earlier, to pick up some undies. Just ignore that. And there's a Shrek cafe here for some reason. I mean, we know that Shrek is Scottish, he has a Scottish accent, but is Shrek set in Scotland?
No, you dummy, it's set far, far away. She doesn't even know Shrek.
So we're staying in a hotel right on the edge of the old town, and it's a really good location because you're just outside the area where you'd have to carry your luggage up all of those stairs. And also, I mean, look at our room. It's probably one of the biggest rooms we've ever had, and we've got a pretty cool view at the window as well. So as always, I'll put a link to this hotel in the description below.
It is a very wet, windy, cold day here in Edinburgh this morning, but we have to smash out as much as we can because we have an appointment later this afternoon that we cannot miss. I'll explain more about that later. But what better way to start the morning than with a coffee? And this one's a little bit unique. It's this tiny little like cubicle right opposite our hotel. We're getting a white mocha and a Nutella mocha. So it's not like your average coffees, I suppose. You can get your average coffees, but Stacey and I, sweet too. Let's see what it's like. Have a taste.
It's very good, but it's cold. Well, I'm a bit like a Michelin man at the moment because I'm wearing multiple layers and then had to add the rain jacket on top. But this coffee's pretty good. They had a lot of cool options. Nice cute little place right across the road from our hotel.
And I highly recommend the Nutella mocha. Tastes exactly what it sounds like. We're now en route to explore Edinburgh for our last few hours that we have available. But first, we have stopped at a place that I have been told is a UK experience staple. It's Greg's, the bakery. It's a chain, and their vegan sausage rolls are apparently to die for. In fact, I do know that this is a fact because when we were in London last year, I had one and it was great. So Greg's and then Edinburgh.
Breakfast done, we're now out and about. Funnily enough, well, not funny for us, we planned to do a self-guided walking tour today of Edinburgh. It is still raining, unfortunately, but kicking on anyways. So we started our walking tour on Princes Street, which is, I think, the main shopping street here in Edinburgh. It's where we picked up our undies from Primark yesterday.
Stop it.
A whole bunch of shops. But we've also stopped by what you can see behind me, which is the Scott Monument, which is like a big Gothic tower. I think it was built for some sort of author, if I'm remembering correctly. definitely stands out because it has that darker vibe compared to the other buildings here in Edinburgh, but very cool, very wet, very cold. I think you can climb it. We're gonna have a look and see if you actually can. I read it's like 287 steps to the top. I don't know if I can be bothered doing that today, but we'll check it out anyways. So it turns out you can climb the Scott Monument. I think it's £8 per person, open from 10 AM, so we're not gonna hang around and do it this morning, but that's pretty cool. I think it's meant to have pretty nice views, and one of the cool things about Princes Street is that all the buildings are on one side, so it actually has pretty good unobstructed views of the old area of Edinburgh, including Edinburgh Castle. But we got to keep pushing. We're on a time restriction today. We don't have time to wait around for 10 AM, so let's keep moving.
Come to Princes Street Gardens, which is just off Princes Street. It has an incredible view of Edinburgh Castle, and it's just like a beautiful garden, but it really allows you to comprehend how big that rock is that Edinburgh Castle sits on. And if you didn't know, Edinburgh Castle sits on a volcanic rock, extinct volcano now, but millions of years ago there was an active volcano around, and I believe the rock that the castle sits on was the plug of that volcano. I don't know a lot about volcanoes, but the way that I think about that is that it kind of popped off the volcano and sat there. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments. I think chances are I am wrong, but that's how I imagine it. It popped off and it is this ginormous rock, so it must have been this huge explosion. And now a castle just casually sits on up there, which is so cool, because I believe across the hundreds of years that the castle has sat up there, it had different purposes. I think at one point in time, it was home to a royal family. Another point in time, I think it was like a defensive castle, which you can imagine would be very hard to get into because it's up on this massive rock. It's really, really cool. And within Princes Street Gardens, there is the Ross Theatre, which they seem to think there are often concerts performed at. Take a look at that. There's the theatre, and look at what's behind it. That's pretty iconic. That's up there with Lizzie McGuire performing at the Colosseum in Rome. We've now walked about 15-20 minutes from the old town of Edinburgh to a village called Dean's Village, which has become a tourist attraction because of its close proximity to the old town, but also because of its picturesque scenery. You've got these buildings right along the edge of the Water of Leith, I think is what it's called. I think it's the largest river in Edinburgh. As I said, it's very picturesque, perfect spot for some photos, and so handy to just have a little short walk out of the old town, get a bit more fresh air, and you're met with these beautiful coloured buildings. It kind of feels like you're being transported back in time. We have now made our way back to the old town, where we're walking past the University of Edinburgh New College, I think, the School of Divinity. It's worth checking out because the building's really cool, and you can walk through, and this massive monument spire type thing is almost perfectly centered in the walkway. The reason why we're walking around here is because we're making our way back to the Edinburgh Castle. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think we're going to be able to get in because you have to book in advance. We did not, but we will leave a bunch of booking links in the description and in a pinned comment down below for you guys to check out if you are coming to Edinburgh, and hopefully you're a bit more lucky than we are. Okay, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news. The bad news is we are not going into the castle today. But the good news is you can come up to the castle, not go inside, but right up to the very front of it for free without a ticket, and get these amazing almost 360 views of Edinburgh. But for now, we're going to head to the Royal Mile, because strolling the Royal Mile here in the old town of Edinburgh is apparently something you must do when visiting this city. It's very, very windy. I hope you can hear me. Not that windy right now, but it was really windy before. Now, if you have more time than us in Edinburgh, something that I would recommend you do is hike up to Arthur's Seat. I think I can see Arthur's Seat over there in the distance, and I think Arthur's Seat sits on the extinct volcano. So that's pretty cool, but we're gonna run out of time because we've got to make that appointment this afternoon. All will be explained, so stay tuned to the end of the video. But let's go walk the Royal Mile.
I feel like the Royal Mile is a really good place to get a sense of that old style Edinburgh architecture. All the buildings look very old and unique. It's very cool and a very popular place. It's definitely packed on this street. It's probably one of the wider streets here in the old town, so it probably makes sense that it's pretty busy.
Bagpipes in the centre of the old town of Edinburgh. Does it get more Scottish than that? I don't think so. Maybe he was eating haggis.
Just off the Royal Mile, we've come across the Elephant House. I think at the moment it's actually moved locations to Victoria Street, but this was the original location, and apparently where J.K. Rowling wrote a big chunk of the first Harry Potter book, so it's very popular. But that's kind of a cool piece of history. history.
If you continue wandering past the Elephant House, you will stumble across GreyFriars Bobby statue, which is a really beautiful story. It's in memorial of a little terrier who guarded his owner's grave after his owner passed away for 14 years before passing away himself, and it's just the cutest story ever. We actually found another statue with a similar story in Japan, in Tokyo. I can't remember the dog's name, but it was right near Shibuya Crossing. But I just love this stuff. And little dog's nose is turning golden because everybody rubs his nose for some good luck. I hope that Ted has a statue one day.
Approximately 2 hours later.
If you're wondering what our appointment was, it was picking up this bad boy.
Make sure you're subscribed and we will see you in the next video.
Why
is there a Parthenon in Scotland?
Why does everywhere have a Parthenon except Australia?
Yes, maybe we should start a GoFundMe. We probably need one.